Hi everyone, and welcome to today's edition of our daily news update. We have a wide array of latest stories from around the world, so let's dive right in. Starting off, in a major development impacting individual rights, the Supreme Court has issued a landmark judgment on the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The court has upheld the right to personal liberty, stating that individuals summoned by special courts under the PMLA need not apply for bail under its strict conditions. According to the judgment, merely appearing before the special court does not imply custody, and therefore applying for bail under the PMLA's difficult conditions is unnecessary. However, the Enforcement Directorate can still arrest an accused, but only with the court approval after a hearing. Additionally, they must demonstrate specific reasons why the person needs to be detained for questioning. This ruling stems from an appeal by Tarseem Lal against the ED, challenging the denial of anticipatory bail by the Punjab and Haryana High Court. The Supreme Court's decision clarifies that special courts can order the accused to furnish bonds under Section 88 of the Criminal Procedure Code, which is distinct from the bail conditions under the PMLA. This is a significant move as bail conditions under the PMLA are notably tough, requiring the accused to prove their innocence and ensure non-repetition of the offence, effectively placing the burden of proof on them. Moving on to political controversy, the ED has informed the Supreme Court of a pending complaint against Aam Aadmi Party in connection with the Delhi liquor policy case. The ED claims to have direct evidence of Arvind Kejriwal, AAP's national convener and Delhi chief minister, demanding 100 crore rupees kickback. The additional Solicitor General, S.V. Raju, even stated the possibility of attaching an equivalent amount of alleged proceedings of the crime. Additionally, the ED denies any political motives behind Kejriwal's arrest on March 21st, citing the alleged kickback demand and money spent on campaigning in Goa as justification. It's worth noting that Kejriwal's petition challenging his arrest, previously upheld by the Delhi High Court, is now being heard by the Supreme Court. Kejriwal, on the other hand, maintains his arrest was politically motivated and the ED is acting as a tool for the ruling BJP. Shifting gears, we turn our attention to another significant Supreme Court ruling, this time concerning the protection of private property. The court ruled that the compulsory acquisition of property by the state without proper procedures and fair compensations is unconstitutional. This decision upholds the right to private property as both a constitutional and human right. The judgment came in response to a case where the Kolkata Municipal Corporation attempted to acquire private land without following due process. The Supreme Court upheld the Kolkata High Court's decision, which rejected the municipal corporation's acquisition. Under Article 300A of the Indian Constitution, no person can be deprived of their property except by the authority of law. The court further outlined 7 specific procedural rights for citizens in such cases, including proper notice, a fair hearing, a reasoned decision by authorities, demonstration of public purpose of the acquisition, fair compensation, an efficient process, and a timely conclusion of proceedings. The completion of acquisition involves not just the payment of compensation, but also the physical possession of the land. In a concerning health development, a study conducted by researchers at Banaras Hindu University raises questions about the safety of Covaxin, an Indian-made COVID-19 vaccine for adolescent girls and those with pre-existing medical conditions. The study enrolled 1,024 participants, including 365 adolescents and 291 adults, and followed them up for a year. It found that nearly one-third of participants reported adverse events of special interest. More concerningly, serious adverse events were observed in about 1% of Covaxin recipients. Common adverse events among adolescents include new onset skin and subcutaneous disorders 10.5%, general disorders 10.2%, and nervous system disorders 4.7%. Among adults, general disorders 8.9%, musculoskeletal disorders 5.8%, and nervous system disorders 5.5% were prevalent. Notably, menstrual abnormalities were reported in 4.6% of female participants. It's important to note that the study involves a relatively small group of people, and further research is needed to confirm these findings. Moving on to international front, the Swiss Foreign Secretary Alexander Fazel is visiting India today to discuss a potential peace conference for Ukraine. He will be holding talks with officials from the Indian Ministry of External Affairs, pushing for India's participation in the Summit on Peace in Ukraine, scheduled for mid-June in Switzerland. The invitation has already been discussed with the Indian and Ukrainian foreign ministers, but the Indian government is yet to decide on their level of participation. Interestingly, Fazel's visit comes shortly after the signing of the Indian EFTA trade pact, which includes Switzerland. He is expected to meet with Secretary West Pawan Kapoor to discuss the conference invitation, trade ties, and other bilateral issues. The organizations of the peace conference aim to invite BRICS nations minus Russia and countries from the global south in hopes of achieving a broader impact on efforts to end the war in Ukraine. In a move with significant geopolitical implications, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin reaffirmed the importance of their countries' relationship. They signed joint statement for a comprehensive strategic partnership, emphasizing this partnership brings stability to a turbulent global environment. Additionally, China expressed commitment to working with Russia in upholding fairness and justice on the global stage. In a notable stance on the Ukrainian front, both leaders agreed on the necessity to oppose further escalation. They stressed the importance of halting actions that prolong hostilities, aiming to bring a swift resolution to the ongoing conflict. As both China and Russia face tensions with the West, this alliance signals a united front against these pressures. Putin went further, suggesting their partnership reflects a multipolar world where power is not solely concentrated in the West. Experts suggest this could be a challenge to the current international order dominated by the United States and its allies. In an alarming turn of events, Slovakia Prime Minister Robert Fico is in a very serious condition after being shot. Surgeons worked for 5 hours to stabilize him, but his condition remains serious due to the severity of his injuries. This incident, described as a political assault, has sent shockwaves throughout Slovakia, raising concerns about escalating violence and polarization, especially as Slovakia prepares to soon host the European Parliament elections. In response, officials have called for calm, urging political parties to reduce or suspend campaigning to prevent further unrest. The suspect was quickly apprehended at the scene, but the broader implications of the attack remain unclear. Fico, a 4-time prime minister, has been a polarizing figure, particularly due to his pro-Kremlin foreign policy stance. This event could have a significant impact on the upcoming elections, and it might further strain Slovakia's relations with Russia. Turning our attention to a French territory in the Pacific, New Caledonia have been crippled by violence for third consecutive day following protests over voting reforms. The unrest has prompted France to impose a state of emergency, granting security forces enhanced powers. The violence has resulted in deaths of 5 people, including 2 police officers, with at least 60 security personnel injured and 214 individuals arrested. The focus of the conflict lies between the indigenous Kanak community, who desires independence, and the French administration. 2 Kanak members are among the dead, and 10 pro-independence figures are under house arrest. While the National Council of Chiefs of the indigenous Kanak people condemn violence, they also dispute accusations of unrest against the movement. The situation underscores the deep-seated tensions in New Caledonia, where issues of independence and political representation continue to provoke intense and sometimes violent reactions. Finally, we turn to the United States, where the White House has refused to release audio recordings of President Biden's interview with the special counsel regarding classified documents found in his possession. Republicans in Congress are pushing for the recordings, but the White House accuses them of seeking political gain. Legal action has been taken, with Attorney General Merrick Garland facing contempt charges for withholding the audio. White House counsel Ed Siskel and Attorney General Garland maintain that recording fall under executive privilege, a legal principle protecting confidential presidential communications. This standoff highlights the ongoing tensions between the executive branch and Congress, particularly in context of transparency and accountability. And that concludes our today's news report. Stay tuned for more updates and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. This is Chronicle Daily signing off.